Damn bitch, you live like this?
Who are you?
Who do you think? I'm you, from the year 2022. I'm here to give you some advice.
Uh-huh.
You really ought to clean your room, bucko.
Did you come back in time just to tell me to clean my room? Oh god, you're not gonna make me read 12 rules for life, are you?
What? No, never. Never. No.
Oh, thank god. Okay. Whew. Got me scared there for a second. What's up?
Well, I know you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel.
It's just a stupid little idea I had.
Well, I'm here to tell you that, believe it or not, there actually is room in the bread soup sphere for another white guy like us. I'm just here to give you the push that you need. With my help, we'll be able to get dozens, maybe even hundreds of subscribers.
And how do you plan on doing that?
Well, you know how neoliberals always say you should invest in yourself?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what I'm here for. This is for you.
Oh shit.
With me as your producer, you'll finally be able to make the movies you've always dreamed of making.
Shit. How did you afford this?
It's nothing. I just got my Yang bucks for the month anyway.
I'm sorry, did you say Yang buck? And he's gone.
That was weird. Hello friends and enemies, my name is Luke, and this is the first of what I hope to be many videos on this channel. Most of my videos are going to be talking about social issues and pop culture, all with the highbrow humor of a 15-year-old that forgot to take his Adderall this morning. For my first video, I want you to get to know me, so I'm going to tell you a story that takes place back when I was that 15-year-old. 2013 was an eventful year. A new pope was elected, Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the NSA, and Paula Deen admitted to using the N-word. It was truly a simpler time. 2013 was the year that I discovered the magic of single-player narrative video games, and I couldn't have gotten into it at a better time. BioShock Infinite, Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, and even Here Comes the Money! Money, money, money! But the game I want to talk about right now is an indie walking simulator called Gone Home. Gone Home is the debut game from the Portland indie studio Fulbright. It takes place in 1995 and puts players in the shoes of Katie Greenbrier, a 21-year-old college student returning home from a semester abroad to find her mother, father, and sister all missing. The entire game takes place in and around the massive Greenbrier Manor as Katie searches for clues that might explain her family's absence. While Gone Home was far from the first walking simulator, the controversy behind the game brought the phrase into the zeitgeist. Other walking simulators like the Stanley Parable, Dear Esther, and Journey came out around the same time, but it was Gone Home that was the go-to target for members of the burgeoning Gamergate movement. Why, you ask?
It's because it's gay as hell.
Before we go any further, I want to define the phrase walking simulator because it has some pretty derogatory connotations. Urban Dictionary defines a walking simulator as a type of video game which lacks many of the traditional aspects of a game, such as a goal, win-loss conditions, any kind of game system to interact with, despite taking the form of a video game. Their phrase implies that there is basically nothing to do in the game other than walking around. The example included in the definition even calls out Gone Home by name. Hey man, it's that new game on Steam. You should check it out. Gone Home? It's not even a game, it's a walking simulator. I only play real games. While I disagree with parts of this definition from literary scholar to clever username, they're correct to mention the implication that walking simulators are of no substance. A walking simulator is based off a central mechanic in the same way that a battle royale or a turn-based RPG is. It's a foundation that a good game will build off of and make its own. Look at the Stanley Parable. The gameplay and controls were as bare bones as they come, but that's not what made the game a hit. The Stanley Parable succeeded because the added narrator mechanic made it unique and funny. It was that simple. It took a stroll through an office building and turned it into an offbeat yet nuanced and effective exploration of fate and free will. Enough about the Stanley Parable though, I'm here to talk about Gone Home. I first learned about Gone Home thanks to my mom of all people. Being the good liberal that she is, she saw an article about it in the New York Times and offered to get it for me, so who was I to turn down a free game? That being said... Hey Mom, it's me. I know you're watching this. Actually, I'm pretty sure that at least half the views in this video are from you and you alone. I'm filming this outside because you're always telling me to go outside. Anyway, just wanted to thank you for introducing me to Gone Home, because if it wasn't for that, there's a good chance I'd have mainstream political views. Terrifying. Anyway, thanks! Anyway, throughout the game you learn what happened to your family through notes left by your sister, Sam. She details how she bonded with a new girl at school over Street Fighter and Riot Girl music, and how they quickly realized that they were much more than friends. I don't want to talk too much about the actual plot because it's worth experiencing if you haven't already. It's an adorable little love story. It's kind of artsy and it's not for everyone, but that's completely okay. I remember the night I played Gone Home for the first time better than I remember most nights from back then. It was a warm night, the end of summer vacation. My parents had gone out to dinner with friends and left my brother and I at home. So I plopped down on the couch, this massive brown behemoth that we had in our living room, and I played Gone Home from start to finish. Oh my god, Sans! It's a short experience, about 2 hours, maybe 3 if you really take in the atmosphere and try and collect all the notes. My parents got back from their meal as the credits rolled, and I was just sitting there on the couch, sobbing my eyes out. I was so genuinely moved. I was what the grown-ups called sensitive. Later that night, I hopped online to talk about the game with anyone who'd listen. After I posted about it on Facebook, I went to Reddit, and to my surprise, there were very few people that were as enthusiastic about the game as I was. Now, Gamergate wasn't formally a thing at this point. Historians on all ends of the political spectrum tend to agree that Gamergate began on August 16, 2014, almost exactly a year later. That was the day that the infamous Zoey Post by That was the day the infamous Zoey Post by Aaron Joni was published, which sent the wrath of the unwashed anti-feminist masses down upon Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian. I noticed that a lot of people were getting upset that there wasn't much to do in the game except for walking around, but I was confused at that. Isn't that kind of the point? It's like saying that the Mona Lisa is bad because it tastes like paint. Video games, first-person ones in particular, are so irrevocably connected to combat and violence that the absence of those elements feels jarring and incomplete to people that unironically think that gamers need to rise up. That's textbook jingoism right there. Unlike a lot of my friends growing up, I didn't play a lot of first-person shooters. Whenever I'd hang out with friends and they'd be playing Call of Duty or Halo, I had no issue letting them use the controller over me. I knew those games weren't for me, but I still respected the fact that my friends were enjoying them. Believe it or not, though, most people online weren't that charitable. It was in one of these online gaming arguments that someone called me a social justice warrior for the first time, and honestly, in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty big milestone for me. I mean, they weren't wrong. Gone Home didn't turn me into a diehard leftist overnight, but it certainly started me in the path that resulted in me becoming the gremlin that you see before you today. I'm not trying to make some grand point here. I'm just trying to explain how I ended up here in this chair, motivated enough to spend hours on a video that's definitely not going to make me any money. If it wasn't for this one lesbian walking simulator, I wouldn't have gotten into narrative video games, I wouldn't have wanted to write video games for a career, which influenced the college that I ended up going to, and if I didn't have the very specific experiences that I had at college, I would be a very different person from who I am right now. But that's a story for another day.